folks. This is Delphina.
Finn.
And Verathane here with some cool news. The Spider Forest webcomic collective will be open to applications for new members from June 10th to June 30th.
Spider Forest is a volunteer-run collective of indie webcomic creators with a focus of collaboration and supporting each other and the webcomic community.
Our members run lots of fun activities like book clubs, art exchanges, and our comic anthologies. And Spider Forest also offers hosting to its members.
Find out more at spiderforest.com/apply.
Thanks, and enjoy the episode.
Time for recording. All right.
Do it. Just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday said tomorrow. So just do it. Make your dreams come true.
Hello, and welcome to Screen Tones, where we talk anything and everything webcomics. So today we're going to be discussing the delicate balance between our work on comics, our projects on the side, and our super busy lives. How does that all happen? How does it all come together? And, maybe some extra stuff in between. A little bit of an exciting episode today. We have a guest. My name is Crispy. I use the pronouns she, they, and I make the comics Lunar Blight and Ghost Junk Sickness.
And I'm Miranda. I use she, her pronouns, and I make the webcomic Into the Swell.
Hi there, I'm Chesca House. I do she, her, and I do Litterbox Comics.
So super, super duper excited to have Chesca on board. Thank you so much for joining us. Anytime it's comics, it's just like, yes, more conversation on this. And this was a really cool idea to do a podcast episode about because Chesca has a wonderful family that she has to balance with the comics that she creates, as well as Miranda being a new mother and has her own little family while she has her journey on webcomics. So we're going to jump right in. And I'm going to ask some questions for our members. And I'm going to start with Chesca. I have some questions for you. And my first question is going to be, what are some difficulties you face with balancing comics and real life?
I mean, I don't know if there is a balance, really. It's not so much about balance, it's about figuring out which balls you can drop that week. For me, it's normally... keeping the house clean is normally the one that gets like, oh, I'll leave that for later. I got something else to do. But there's, I don't know, balances. I feel like you could maybe reach a balance for like a little bit, but I don't know if you could maintain that long term. I've figured that out over my years of attempting it.
So when you make comics and need to balance the life and stuff like that, like what's something you said that you drop, like, things like cleaning the house is going to be like, okay, that's another task and stuff like that. How do you get like into comics, like get that mindset, be like, okay, but today is a comic day or something?
I mean, it helps the kids are at school. That helps a lot.
Yeah.
So I think they were both sort of in daycare when I started. I don't know if I would have been able to start if they were both here all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just having a little bit of time to quiet time, I can kind of get into the mood. I mean, it helps that my comics are related to the kids and my life, so that even if I'm in the thick of it doing, mum stuff, something's happening, I'm writing it down, and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea, I'll do something with that. So I keep like a running list on my phone of just all these seeds of ideas. And then when I get a moment, I kind of sit down and try and expand on them and see if I can push them like to be funnier or add a cat joke to it, or but yeah.
Yeah, I like that it feeds into that. That's really unique. And you know, it's helpful. You're like, man, I'm having an absolute stressful moment, but this would be great in a comic.
Yeah, write
Yeah,
what you
really.
know.
Yeah. uh, Miranda, I'm going to ask you the same question. And it's interesting because of the works that you do aren't necessarily like totally related to that. What are the difficulties that you're facing balancing comics and, you know, your new little guy to the team?
Well, I think for me it's more just getting the time and the headspace. I will say I'm super excited for when he goes to school. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to speed up. I don't need to rush to that, but the free time will be glorious. But besides having time, just being in the right headspace. Like there never seems to be enough time, and comics they're a hobby for me, so I'm working a full-time job and trying to figure out this parenting thing. So my time, like the comics just aren't a priority, so they tend to be the first thing dropped when
Mhm.
other things come up right now. Additionally, being in the right headspace, like especially he's only 6 months, so I've had 6 months to work at this. I'm a pro. Yeah,
Mhm.
I know everything about parenting. I can't even say that with a straight face. But it's exhausting, and creating like it's they don't comics don't just happen. Like I have to be in the right creative headspace. I have to be like ready to draw, ready to write things out. And it's been really hard to find that like turn that mode on
Mhm.
lately. So I'm still trying to figure out how to do it. And I think I'm also at a weird point because I wrapped up my last comic. So now I'm in the process of writing a new one. So I don't have any like external motivation of like posting schedule to keep up with or anything like that.
Mhm.
So it's even more on the back burner, because there's nothing like encouraging that besides I want to, but I haven't been able to like put that at the forefront. So
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
those are
but
the big difficulties I face, and I'm
yeah,
sure there will be many more down the line.
it's super rough where you are as well at 6 months.
Yeah.
It's hard to, I don't know. I found when I became a mum, I kind of had this new mum persona. I don't know. It was just all encompassing, and I felt like I'd lost myself a little bit. I was really
Yes.
worried about it, but then you find as they get older and they need you less and they're sleeping that
The
you
sleep.
come back again, and there's still the new mum you as well. It's like they kind of start the two personalities overlap, and it's like, oh, you get the old you and the new you, and it's really weird. but,
Yeah,
but yeah, it gets easier.
thank you. Thank you for that hope. But I definitely get that. I feel like I'm a new person, and I have to figure out how to balance everything
Mhm.
all with this new huge role that I have.
Mhm. Definitely.
But
And
I'm glad there's hope that it gets easier.
For
and it's
sure.
interesting because Cheska and Miranda, you both have two different perspectives. They kind of go into one with the overall experience. But with Cheska having like comics at this professional level, needing that obligation to do that, like how do you balance, you know, having the social presence and creating the comic on a specific schedule and stuff like that? Like, you know, is there leeway given to you when you create or
It's rough. I used to do like 3 comics every 2 weeks.
oh
So
wow.
and but God, I couldn't keep up. I was just like, as soon as you'd finish one, I was like, okay, now another one. But then I had to drop down to like once a week, and even that I can't always keep up with these days. I just but then I miss a week, and I've got enough at least now that I can post reposts so
Mhm.
people don't notice so much. I don't know. Maybe they do, but but people have been very nice about it. My patrons are all lovely. Whenever I'm like, oh guys, I can't do one at the moment, they're all like, don't worry, you're fine. Kids come first. It's like, oh, thank you.
Mhm.
So yeah, that definitely helps keep the stress down. Um, but yeah, it's hard because I think I have a week free to sort of like, okay, I'm going to do a comic, but then a kid gets sick, and then the week's just gone up
Oh,
in smoke, and you're like, oh my god.
yep. Yeah.
They know when something is important or like on a schedule, and they plan their new things or their extra long naps that they never do or anything around interrupting those activities that you have planned. I don't know how they do it, but they know.
And it's interesting because I think like having episodes like this and talking about your experiences with like, balancing these things, kind of in this creative outlet that we have, professional, hobbyist, and whatnot, is important. I think it's important for people to be like, wow, like, there will be days where people miss updates, and I mean that's absolutely okay because life is absolutely busy and unpredictable. So, hearing that you have people that will support you throughout this whole thing, that is great. I like that you have that support that understands that life is unpredictable and they are here for your comics. They are here to support that. So, do you think that that helps with settling into being a comic creator with such a busy life too? And
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's nice. It's nice having that safety net of knowing that no one's gonna sort of get too mad if you miss. I don't know. It's funny because you sort of think, oh God, I've missed it. They're gonna notice, but when you think about it, everyone's living their own lives. They
Mhm.
probably, they're not like waiting for this thing to pop up. Well, probably not. So you sort of think, oh, it's probably all right, actually. They're just, when you come back, they're like, oh yeah, I've missed you. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, they didn't really, it's okay. I mean, the algorithm is where it could take a
Yes.
hit, where you kind of, that's where you're like, I'm not, the people are lovely about it. The algorithm, not so much. So
Yep.
that's the slight danger. But then, I mean, Instagram seemed to be the worst with that, and Instagram just hates me now anyway. So
Oh.
I don't know how the algorithm just. I literally, I've been at the same spot. I think 435 or 34,000 followers for about 2 years. I
Oh,
think
wow.
just I'll go up and I'll go down. I'll go up. I'll have a month where I'll like gain, and then a month where I'll lose them all. It's just it's happening to a lot of people at the moment. It's
Yep.
really weird. You're just stagnating, but it's quite a relief because now I don't care so much about posting constantly to Instagram. So I'm like, it's fine. Like Twitter's a bit more. Twitter's more about the timing, so it's not so much
Mhm.
about the algorithm. And Facebook is doing better at the moment. So yeah, that's been helpful. That's been a relief.
Yeah, it's really interesting to kind of reflect on see what the social platforms demand of us and kind of I guess warp our perceptions of oh man they are going to notice and stuff like that. But that's good. It's comforting to know that it's like the people are here for you. The algorithms, they're not our friends, but the people who really want to see us create are going to be able to stick through and stuff like that. And that's just good to know. So I'm going to continue with this because I love this discussion. This is a really good episode. I'm going to ask both of you. I'm going to come after Miranda first with this one. What are some tips that you have for maintaining like this balance? I know it's a difficult balance, but what have you learned, picked up during this entire new shift in life?
It's definitely about prioritizing. Like Chesca said, it's figuring out what you can drop to give you some extra time because there never seems to be enough of it. But I I also feel that if you want to do something, you will find the time to do it. Obviously, there's things like I have a full-time job, I have a family. Those require a set amount of dedicated time during the day. Um, but the comic is fit in the extra time. But I do manage to get like an hour or two a day that is just free time, is to myself. And uh, I know if I wanted to, I could make that comic time no matter
Mhm.
how tired I am, no matter what else is happening. And like, it's definitely just getting yourself, uh, like prioritizing that if that's what you want to do.
Mhm.
I will get there. I will get there to putting comics first again.
Yeah.
But if you're motivated and like if you're someone that's like, okay, if if this event happens, then I'll take some time to comic, where like X is a lull in whatever regularly happens, or the weather, like, oh, it's raining, I'm going to make that a comic day anytime it rains. Maybe that's what you have to do to put it forward. I also think it's really helpful to have different stages of your comic to work on, because sometimes you can script and you can't draw. Like, you might be out and about and be able to write some notes on a script rather than have your drawing gear and draw things, or you can thumbnail because those are quick and easy, rather than having to sit down and do line art, which is the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
Not really. It's not that bad, but it's
100%.
It's not my favorite. I would like to just skip that generally. And then like setting goals and deadlines for yourself, and that for me, and if you don't have the external pressure of like comics being a full-time job or people waiting for updates and stuff, it requires a lot of self-discipline to meet those goals and deadlines. But if you have self-discipline and that works for you, you can set goals. Say I want to like, for me, if I wanted to launch my new comic by the fall, which is a very vague deadline, so obviously I could meet it. Like, I would need to have incremental deadlines before that, and then just meeting that, and then just evaluate where you're spending your extra time. Like, we all get sucked into social media and our phones or devices, binge watching Netflix, whatever. Find how you can take that extra time and put it towards something productive and what you want to do with it. And then really just know your limitations. Like Chesca said, she was posting 3 times a week and that wasn't sustainable. So she adapted and found a post frequency that works for her.
Okay, did I say 3 times a week? I meant 3 times every 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I said it wrong.
Still a
like,
lot.
oh, blimey, was I? No. Oh, God, no.
Vacation time.
I'm just making you sound like better than you. I'm playing you up, right?
I'm very, very slow. My style is not good for that.
But yeah, like finding the limitation and knowing that, so you can do something that maintains it, so you're able to keep a healthy balance and not drown in trying to catch up.
Yeah,
those are my tips. Do I apply all of them to myself? No, but I'm working on it.
Well, it's just the effort in trying to, and I think that's what's important as well, and knowing what is going to be taking priorities with this whole thing. I mean, obviously family's going to be first, right? And then life has to come, and then we have our jobs or our hobbies with comics and stuff, and knowing where it fits in the puzzle. I am going to ask you the same question, Chesca, just because I'm so intrigued with how you balance all this. As far as tips go, what do you suggest for maintaining the chaos that is life?
Well, what Miranda said was spot on, actually. With the I haven't done it recently, but when I was doing a lot more comics, that was the way I was doing it, was having comics at different stages. So I'd be working on a few at a time, and so when I had quiet time I could script. I can do the scripting, and the roughs I have to be completely silent because I'm kind of acting them out a little bit as I'm drawing them, and then once I'm past that stage, when I'm on to inking and coloring, I can, there can be chaos going around me, so I can do that, when the kids are about and stuff. One of the huge things that helped me was moving from, I used to have a Wacom Cintiq, and I moved to an iPad Pro, and I love it. And so now I can just draw anywhere. I don't have to be in my office. I can just, and that was, I don't think I could have kept going through quarantine, like the 2020 quarantine, without that thing, because I was just spent most of that just sitting in the dining room, the dining room table, drawing comics with the kids like running around me, driving me crazy.
Such a great visual.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a real game changer, and I just love the drawing on the iPad Pro even more than the Cintiq. I just find it very real, and I'm not like an Apple gal normally, but yeah, that thing's amazing. What else? What is good? I mean, social media is a big one. Like you're saying, there's kind of you got to recognize, you got to look for where the time vampire is, and try to like not fall into its traps. So yeah, I love social media. Twitter's fun, and but I have to realize when it's not just when you're on it necessarily that's taking up the time. It's like when you're off it as well, because if you're on it too much, I'll sort of be in the shower and I'll get out and I realize they've just spent the whole time having a pretend conversation with someone on Twitter, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this is pointless. I could have thought up a new comic. This is a waste of my brain space, you know. I have to watch myself when I'm working, because I'll find I'll get stuck to drawing something, and then I'll be like, oh, and I'll pick up my phone, and it's like, what am I doing? Like the answer's not there. I got to figure out the drawing.
Yes.
So yeah, it's I've got I use this thing called App Blocker on my phone. It's on Chrome now as well, which I discovered like last week, and I love it. And you can set it to just kick you out of like certain sites or apps during certain times. And so I'll do that, and I'll be on my phone in the morning, and then suddenly be like, "Bah, no, you're blocked." I was like, God damn it. Okay, I gotta get on with stuff. But like if you try and open the apps when it's doing blocking, it'll shame you. It will,
Oh.
like you'll hit the screen, you'll be like, oh, and it'll tell you how many times you've
Oh, no.
opened it, and like
Oh.
lifetime and today, and you're like, oh my god. So that thing's great. Really very good. Saved a lot of time. I also do a thing where on my phone, like I try to hide where my social icons are on my phone, so
Oh my
it's
god.
hard to find them. But then I'll get really good at finding them. Like my muscle memory will pick up where they are, so then I have to move them around again.
Yes.
Just I don't know, anything you can do which will make you stop and be like, do I really want to do this right now? Like, because it's so impulsive to just pick up your phone. It's crazy.
Yeah, the muscle memory is real of
Yeah.
like just picking up your phone and you tap and suddenly Instagram's open and you didn't even go on your phone for Instagram.
Yeah.
And you're in, and sometimes I'll be like, okay, I've got to go and look at a message that I know I've got from someone that I've got to reply to, and then 10 minutes later I'm like,
Yes.
what was I doing?
Oh my gosh.
That's awful.
I always say I answered you in my head when I read it, and then I kept doing something else.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I really enjoyed that you said that you use like the on the go kind of tablet for drawing as far as like the iPad is concerned. I've heard a lot of folks being like, yeah, the switch to being mobile on the iPad or whatever tablet has absolutely helped with the process. So it's something really, really to consider, because, I find that when I sit at a computer, it's just like, that's what this time is for. And sometimes when you're at a computer, you have access to too many things. And I'm just like, oh, I'm going to get distracted. But I feel like, the iPad and other things do have apps and stuff. And we do have that nice little app block kind of thing to prevent it. But I don't know. I feel like when it feels like that size and it is the tablet, I feel more focused to do the work and stuff like that. So reframing things, or having a situation where you're like, no, this is the art time when I have this item kind of thing.
I haven't installed any social media apps on my iPad as
Oh,
well, so there's
perfect.
no I think, and I've turned off all notifications as well. Like I started doing that a while ago. Like nothing notifies me unless it's like, I think you can turn on sort of urgent emails, or like if a message from someone who you might actually care about is coming through or something, but nothing else. I don't have any other notifications, so that helps. And iPad's just drawing stuff on there, so I can just kind of put my phone away for a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that helps.
It's really smart.
Yeah, it's just like you do have to develop like these tools to do that, especially being a parent, like not only having like these obligations for the jobs and stuff like that, but like being a parent on top of it. And Miranda said what a great visual it was to have you working on the iPad in the dining room and having the kids running around. So I do obviously have to go into this asking, when it comes to being a parent, how do you balance exactly, like, okay, it's happening time, it's parent time, things have to drop. Like, how do we get into that? How are we balancing that exactly?
I mean, sometimes I really realized it during quarantine that sometimes I do just have to put my comics first. Like the kids are
Hmm.
running around, and it's always like family first. But sometimes they're fine.
Yeah.
They need to just go get on with something without mummy doing it for them. So it was quite freeing during quarantine because I was like, I need to work, and they're here, so I need to sometimes just go, no, go away, go
Yeah.
outside and play. And it was very I got work done, and it was great for them too because they actually did go outside and play and bonded a bit more because there wasn't mummy in the middle kind of managing their their conversation. it
Hmm.
was uh, it was pretty glorious, so I felt good about that. Easier said than done, of course, but yeah, that's I don't know, sometimes you do just have to go, no, work first, work, this is work time,
Hmm.
go do something else. You're a kid, you can figure it out.
Yeah, when they have like that mindset of being like, okay, it's independent time, you guys can play and entertain yourselves and stuff like that. And I know it's a little different for Miranda right now, being in the
Yeah.
6 month moment where mummy's really needed.
Yeah.
But like Cheska said earlier, you're gonna get to a point where it's just like, okay, like, routine is developed, baby's gonna start sleeping, baby turns kid, it's gonna find, like, that the life is going to fit these places. I think when you have that mindset, and that gumption to be like, all right, how do we make this work, basically? How do I actually get stuff done? And maybe it is an iPad, maybe it is to be like, okay, kids, let's go play. I need some brain space for myself, or getting an app blocker. So I think it's really, it's good to have for that. I did want to ask Cheska, like, doing all this is a lot of work. I will say, because creative spaces and headspaces and stuff like that can be extremely draining on top of being a parent. Do you ever get burnout doing this stuff?
Oh yeah, I've got a bit of a writer's block at the moment. Actually, I've got a lot on my plate with trying to sort out the animation Kickstarter, and it's all it's all go at the moment. So yeah, it's hard to be creative right now. Often when I get really burnt out, that's when I clean the house. I can't get caught up on cleaning the house.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? The house is terrible, and it feels mentally better because I've let the house
Yes.
slide with working. So it's quite cathartic to then turn around and go, okay, I'm going to clean up the house. And then it kind of cleans up your brain a little
Hmm.
bit, I guess. So yeah, that's sort of where I go. I'm like, okay, cleaning whirlwind occurring. I pull everything out, all the cupboards, and like, oh, there's all this stuff I don't use anymore, and sort it all out. And it's just, yeah, it goes a bit mental. And that kind of, and then I get fed up of doing that, and then I want to work again.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually really enjoy that. It's definitely something I connect to too. As far as cleaning. And I know I'm always getting poked at, like, by my friends or family. It's just like, oh my God, Crispy, you're always cleaning. But I'm just like, I feel like it represents like a physical mind space. And I'm like, I can't, if I'm having like a time where I can't focus on stuff, I will clean up an area or room or whatever, the house, the entirety, let just go. And it helps me reorganize my thoughts and be like, okay, focus time, let's get over this hurdle and stuff like that. I mean, I don't have the extra kids in there for that, but I
Well,
definitely agree, that's something that
you
helps
have
me.
Una. She's basically a kid.
Very demanding husky.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fur, isn't it? Those
Oh,
things.
yeah. I mean, she sheds weird. It's in like clumps. It's weird.
Oh, wow. Get into needle felting.
Yes, actually, I can make a whole dog out of it. Miranda, have you ever faced like an extreme burnout with this stuff too? Like having like a work-life balance and being like, okay, how do I get back into it? How do I get back into the game kind of thing?
I'm at that right now.
Oh!
I'm still trying to figure out how to get back to it, especially at being sleep deprived.
Hmm.
Because like I'm a night owl. I like being up till ridiculous hours of the night. I'm like going to bed at 8 because I'm so tired.
Hmm.
It's terrible, but Yeah, being in burnout, I agree. Like cleaning is it. It also, in addition to all the things you said, it's also like kind of a mindless activity. Like you spray the spray, you wipe it down, you move to the next thing, or you don't have to really think too much while you're doing it. So it is a great time to kind of ponder other things. Like I've been doing a lot of thinking about my next comic story and like building it in my head. I haven't had time to like sit down and script anything. But that's how I feel like I'm starting to reach the end of the burnout
Okay.
and like wanting to be back is because I'm constantly thinking about my comic story and what I want to do with it and like getting that desire to draw. I just like need to get my body on board with my brain because my brain seems to be there. My body's just like, I just want to sleep. Like, I don't want to do anything. So, gotta get out of that. And I love that Chesca's comic, like you involve your family life into it because it's like, I didn't expect this becoming a parent. Like it is all consuming. Like it's your new personality, especially early in the beginning. It'll probably balance itself out down the line, but right now it's like I'm a mom. That's all I want to do. That's all I can think of, and finding a way to kind of harness that and bring it into your work like can unify things a lot and kind of help it seem more like one piece instead of I have this life and I have this life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm working on doing all of that. And yes, my 6-month-old is not very independent.
Yeah.
But he gets a pass right now. But he's learned to sit up on his own.
Oh.
And it's like there's so much freedom that comes from just that.
Yeah.
Is I can just like set him up and move away and it's fine. And he just sits there and plays with his toys. So one day he'll be able to run around and I can shoo him outside and it'll be even more free time and independent. But yeah, I'm working to dig myself out of burnout right now. We should probably like do an episode on that or
Oh,
something.
100%. That is definitely coming. It's
I
such a
don't know
big
how
thing.
I don't know how you do it right now. I mean, I started the comic when what was it? I can't remember my oldest. I can't remember how old they were now, but I certainly wasn't doing much of anything when they were 6 months old. So kudos to you for even feeling the urge. Because
Yeah.
oh my goodness,
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
yeah, the hormones don't help either. Like, because
Oh my
definitely,
gosh, no.
oh my god, like I don't know this. I know it's hormones because I'll be going along fine and I'll be like being creative, and then suddenly like the bottom just falls out of my world, and I'm like everything's the
No.
worst, and the comics I'm writing are terrible, and I hate these scripts, and then I'll be like that for like 2 or 3 days, and then I'm fine again, and I'm like, oh, these are fine actually. Like I don't know what my problem was. I'm like, hang on.
Yes.
So yeah, that is an
yes.
additional hurdle we have to face.
Yeah. Ugh.
And I think it's interesting because like the itch is always going to be there with creating and wanting to be like active with that. Like whether we make like the exact time or whatever to create, I think that's going to be the battle that we have when our lives have such big needs in them. I'll say with that, but like it is incredible to do the things that you do on the schedule that you have with the obligations that are present in your life. Hearing that you're still really really into doing the comic and stuff like that while having a 6-month-old Miranda, that's huge. That's a big thing. I know many people who've had their kids being like, gonna take like a year off, 2 years off, which is great. Honestly, do it. Do the thing that works best for you. Adapt for what works best for you. I think is the biggest thing. But also don't feel bad if you're not at a certain part. Like don't feel bad that you're like, oh, 6 months I'm not in the game. Like I think that's impressive. A year I'm not in the game. Oh no, like no, there's a lot going on. And I think it's important to take care of, what's going on up in the head first, and then the family and stuff like that, so that you can get into it. Because, I mean, as we all know, as comic creators, it's demanding. Oh my goodness. I could not imagine. But I do want to ask both of you, what are things that you do in the downtime? Like, how do you relax around all of this? What are some strategies that we have for just being like, all right, do we have to do comics now? Do we have to do this? Like, how do you unwind with all of this?
I'm still working on that one. I'm not great at that.
You and me both.
I used to game more, but I don't know. It always feels a bit naughty now. Like if I'm able to game, like I should be like drawing something, or I don't know. I'm leveling in a game. I should be leveling in my drawing instead. But it helps when kids start paying a bit more attention to this stuff. So you can watch a movie with. We played Stray, that game with the cat. I played that with the kids, and that was fun. Normally I probably wouldn't make time with it, but because the kids were interested, I was like, okay, cool, we could do this together. This is great. And the older one would do the sort of wandering around bits, and I do it when the monsters came out. It would be like, take over. So that was fantastic. It was funny too, because normally that's Resident Evil with me and my husband.
Yeah.
I'm like doing the puzzles, and then the zombies go out, take over. So I felt
that seems a good balance.
Yeah, I felt very brave being the I got this with the cat. So yeah, it helps if I can rope them into it somehow, because then I feel that it feels more like, oh, this is something I should be doing, instead of like naughty, selfish me time. I don't know. I'm still working on it. I know that's not a healthy way of thinking of things. So I play World of Warcraft. I've fallen off a wagon of that a bit lately too, but I don't know, next expansion I'll probably get back into it for a bit. That's
what I tell myself every time. But I definitely understand that, because like my unwinding is usually binging Netflix, or like having Netflix on or something in the background, and there's all this like drama of, oh, you can't have your baby have too much screen time. So I've like cut out so much TV from my life, and it's very weird. And like sometimes it's just like, yeah, I need to watch something. I need to just chill. He can do his thing. It's fine. Yeah. Like he's not going to be wrecked by an hour of me just watching a show while he's sitting there with me. And like he's not very independent right now, so the free time I get, it's not consistent. Like it's not, I get an hour of extra time every time he's playing or whatever. So having things that I can like easily pick up and put down have been how I relax. Like I picked up crocheting. So it's something that like I can do a couple rows of that, and then he needs me again. Okay, I set that down, and it's I need to start like getting comics into that, to where like, I can thumbnail this page real quick, because that's like, I know I can have that much time. Or just finding things I can do in small segments, or how I have to plan things. Like showering, it's like, a shower will make me feel good. It'll make me relax and set me up for the next moment, or the rest of the day or whatever. So that's what I'm going to go do during this time to relax, and like, again, just prioritizing. But yeah, it's
hard when you got to work around the naps. I remember that.
That's
so rough. Like it's really like, okay, I'm going to do this, but if I do this, then this happens, and if they do this, then it's like this sort of huge sort of tree map that goes out of all your plans. It's just like, oh my god, I'm going crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. My first was not a independent. I mean, he still isn't. He's the second came along, and it was like, this is the kind of kid that most people have. The older one was has always been challenging. So you'd have those sort of mum's saying, "Oh, you just give them some like pots and pans, and they'll sit there for an hour, like clanging on them." It's like, no, he won't.
Yeah.
He'll just be like, "Ah,
Yeah.
where are you going?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're not here.
And it also it doesn't help that you want to interact with them.
Mhm.
Like
Mm.
it's really hard to leave them to just do their own thing. Like even though you know you should, because that's how they become independent. You're like, I just want to sit and play with you because I can do that right now. But you're like he's getting better, just like quietly sitting and not quietly. He loves to yell. But like sitting and playing with his own toys and stuff. And I think finding things that I can do next to him prolong his independent time,
Mhm.
because he'll like look over and I'm there and he can go back to what he was doing. So the iPad, like I need to pull that out because I can sit on the floor and draw with him instead of sitting at a desk. So yeah, the portability is definitely going to be embraced as I get back into things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And having access to those tools definitely help with the creative process and stuff like that. I definitely want to say, like, I want to give both of you guys a vacation with this stuff, finding some kind of balance with unwinding. And how old is your oldest, Cheska?
9.
9.
Yeah, 9 and 7 now. The younger one always surprises people because he's still a baby in the comics. So people are like, 7? What?
Yeah, I would have guessed. Yeah.
But being at it for so long, I understand that the naughtiness and being like, if I was doing this in a game, I should be doing that and having the obligation to that, especially, when comics are an obligation. But if anything, I can impart having that solidarity of being like, you should just randomly pick up World of Warcraft and have it on a day that you want to, and just you've done your time, you've had this, and you deserve it, kind of thing. I think that's important to work-life balance, is to also have that fun for you that's not creating. As much as we love doing comics, I think it's good to be just, this is my time. This is my time. I'm going to be very silly. And I'm not going to feel bad being silly on this time that I have. I know that I still struggle with that. And, I have a one day specifically set for me playing games where I'm just like, I'm not allowed to pick up the pen and do this, because I definitely admit I have a lot of unhealthy schedules doing comics. But I do at least have to be like, okay, I have one day where I'm just like, no comics. And if you have time to play games, it's the game day here.
I
This
tried
makes
to
me want to go pick up WoW again, which is not the moral of this episode.
It's quite fun it's a good one when you got a little kid, like doing sort of. I have very fond memories of. I think we were trying to do an achievement. Me and my husband were trying to do an achievement in WoW, trying to beat the Lich King, but like doing it
Oh
in a
my
certain
God.
way. And then it was the middle of the night, and like the baby woke up, and it's like, okay, we're doing this. And I just brought him out, and I think I had him in a little bouncy chair, and I was like bouncing him with my foot, and we're like, come on, we can do this. We did, yes.
He's like a built-in cheerleader. They do also have the added benefit of being good luck charms. I find, like, if I'm holding him while we're playing a board game or a video game or something, I do way better. So that's like, I probably should pull out WoW and just make that our thing.
I love this visual. That's so cute with the Lich King and everything.
It felt so good. It felt so like, yes, we did it.
We did it as a family.
Yeah, family time.
I think that's important. I love that. I think that's so good. Maybe the moral of the story is to pick up WoW at the end of the day.
This episode's sponsored by Activision.
Yeah. Activision, if you're listening,
send money.
Oh my god.
We'll see a new rise in WoW subscriptions correspond with this episode release.
Oh god. All right. So this has been absolutely awesome. There is a lot of good nuggets of information here, and I'm definitely reflecting on a lot of things to balance my habits with, the comics that I do. But I did want to ask both of you, as this episode slowly wraps up, what is something that you would like to just have the listener reflect on, or some piece of information or inspiration that you'd really like to be like, yeah, I'd like to impart this on you, or really reflect on this?
Probably what I'd recommend, I did it once, well, I do it occasionally, is if you're on social media a lot, to just take a week and be like, I'm
Oh,
either not going to be on it this week, or just, I don't know, restrict yourself to like a little bit in the evening or something, and just try to remember what it feels like to not, because I feel like social media is like, it shakes up our minds like the snow globe, and it just keeps all the like pieces, all the snow, moving around. And if you just put it down for a bit and you let the snow settle, it's surprising how your brain feels. And once you know how your brain can feel off it, you want to do it less, which is helpful.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I really like that, especially with the change and the shifts with social media now. I think that's extremely important to kind of figure out, where do we want to put our energy with all that.
It's okay to feel burnt out, and
Mhm.
it's okay to not be actively making comics or whatever it is that you haven't been doing. If it's not, like, if you can't fit it in your life right now, I think a lot of things, especially being a parent, require adjustment and time, and you can't force everything to fit into this neat little ball all
Yeah.
together when you get this huge new chunk adding to it.
mm.
It's going to take time for things to mold and shape and find that balance again. So it's okay if you don't have balance right now for all the things you want to do.
Mhm.
Uh, if you want it, I think it will come, even if it takes a little bit of time to get there.
Yeah. And I often think about when we kind of look at our peers and feel like we need to be where they are, and reflect on that a lot. And I think that Chesca makes a really great point about maybe just being off of social media for a little bit. Take that week off. So you're not in that mindset. You're like, oh yeah, this is what it feels like to just create when I have the space for it, create when I have the time for it. And as we've learned in this episode, life is very unpredictable. So we can't plan for everything. We can't coordinate with every single step on the way. And Miranda makes a beautiful point of the fact that that's totally okay. You don't need to be creating the comic. You can be silly. You can take that time off, and you can play WoW. I'm going to say that.
Yes. Yes, you can.
I think with that, I am going to be wrapping this episode up. I have been your host, Crispy, and you can find my work at ghostjunksickness.com and lunarblight.com.
I am Miranda, and you can find my work at mirandacakes.art.
I'm Chesca House, and you can find, just look for Litterbox Comics everywhere. Just look for the cat toilet and you'll find me. But yeah, I've got a book.
They're great.
And I've got a book, Parenting is Weird, Tales from the Litterbox. And I'm also just starting a Kickstarter for an animated pilot for the TV show.
It's going to be
So
great.
yeah, go and sign up to that as well. But you can find all that on my socials.
Heck yes. And thank you so much for being with us. Oh my gosh.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely
great.
It's been a
honored.
pleasure having you.
And it does get better. I promise it gets better. I just want to reach
Thank
through
you.
the microphone and give you a hug. It's all right.
Thank
I
you.
remember being there. Oh my goodness.
At least they're cute, and they're worth it.
Definitely helps.
Thank you for listening to Screen Tones, a webcomic podcast. Want to know some other ways to support us? Check out our Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/screentonescast, where your support will help us create more episodes, reach cool extra bonus goals, and keep us talking about anything and everything webcomics. You can also find us on Tumblr, Instagram, and our Discord server. Thank you so much for listening, sharing, rating, and supporting, and we'll see you next time.